Along the way, a lot of folks ask, why are you running right now? You just got out of the military. What caused you to run right now? And the first is, I am committed to service. The answer is always the same, that I am committed to service. And the second part of that answer is the people deserve better. They deserve better than what they've been getting in the 5th District and in Washington in general. The folks deserve better than this. I want to talk for a brief moment about service. A lot of people talk about service. It's a bumper sticker. They pay lip service to service. Not a lot of folks actually live it. Now, I chose to join up in the military while 2 ongoing conflicts were going on. I became a captain and a judge advocate general in the United States Air Force during 2 conflicts. That choice shows that I am about service. That choice shows that I know what it takes to defend this nation and be a dedicated public servant. We're lacking that in Washington today, and we're especially lacking that in this district. In 1968, 70% of our congressmen were veterans. And if you think about what we were doing in Congress in 1968, we were dealing with Medicaid, we were dealing with Medicare, we were dealing with civil rights legislation, and we were dealing with it on a bipartisan basis. A bipartisan basis. We can't get a free ham sandwich through Congress on a bipartisan basis right now. And it's because we've lost folks. We're sending folks that aren't devoted to service. Right now, there's only 20% of congressmen that are veterans. And let me give you an example of being about service and being about the mission and not worrying about political party, not worrying about political points, not worrying about political posturing. When I was in the military, I served in many different aspects. On one day, I could be providing family law assistance to a troop who is having family law troubles. On another day, I could be providing, prosecuting an individual who's involved in drug dealing or child molestation or some sort of hardened criminal and making sure that person was dealt with appropriately. And then finally, I could be providing a will and a power of attorney to make sure, on a midnight mobility line, to make sure that person knows that while they're over there, their family is going to be taken care of. And in each of those instances, I would work with fellow officers regardless of political persuasion. I would work with enlisted personnel regardless of political persuasion. We didn't care if we were a liberal Democrat or a conservative Republican. We cared about getting the mission done. And that's what you get when you send a veteran to Congress, and that's what we have to get back to in the United States Congress, and that's what this district deserves. I am the only Democratic candidate that actually released an opinion editorial on Saturday. I had concerns about this bill until the moment it was passed, until the week before it was passed, and like you said, I didn't know if I could support it at that time, and actually I had a conversation where I said I wouldn't support it as it was. Then we had the reconciliation package, and we learned that more consumer protections were placed in there. We learned that it was going to be harder for insurance companies to put profit over people. There were the good elements that were always there. Rescission is no longer an option. Denying children with pre-existing conditions coverage is no longer an issue either in the bill. So ultimately, I chose to put out an opinion editorial saying that I would support the health care bill, and when I get there, I will work to make it better and make sure we get more consumer protection and less power in the insurance companies. The fact that anyone could vote against equal pay for equal work I don't understand it at all, and it's a bad vote for anybody who cast it. It's a vote against women. It's a vote against fairness. It's a vote against equity in our society. So I want to echo that. With gay marriage, it is right now a matter for the states. It is a religious thing. But ultimately, we're also seeing this in the military. With a don't ask, don't tell policy. And I can tell you right now that I am absolutely in favor of removing the don't ask, don't tell policy for folks that want to stand up and serve their country honorably at a time when not a lot of folks are serving the country. We need to remove that ban and make sure that those folks can serve openly and honestly. And I'll tell you what, it is a burden on the military, it is a burden on our troops, and it is a burden on their families to not allow this to happen. And then finally, abortion. You know, this is one of those wedge issues where people say, gotcha. Look, everybody can agree. No one likes abortion. Nobody likes it. Nobody likes it. But the point is the government going to get in between a woman and her doctor on a personal choice that she has to make sometimes for her own health or for the health of the baby? This is a personal choice, and the government should not be involved in that personal decision. I do have experience with BRAC. I was stationed in North Carolina. I saw it from the military side, and I worked with community leaders within North Carolina when I was stationed there. So I understand what we need to make sure folks they do have the infrastructure, and we do have a smooth transition of all these new folks and all this new economic prosperity coming, because ultimately it is a good engine for economic prosperity, the BRAC system is. One other thing that I want to talk about is my jobs proposal. Through a public-private partnership, we're going to need infrastructure. We're going to need folks to stay on their transportation committee and get the good committee assignments to represent this district well. But the Green TVA is my jobs proposal, and through a public-private partnership, we're going to bring even more and more thousands of jobs, manufacturing jobs that we've lost over the years. So I am going to fight for that proposal, and I'm going to make sure we have the infrastructure for the next BRAC, the infrastructure for this BRAC, as your congressman. So what we need in our next congressman is somebody who's going to fight to strengthen and grow our communities across North Alabama. You should absolutely look at our records, look at our experience, look at what we're bringing to the table, look at if we're service-oriented, look at if we know the legislative process. I was aide for a state representative, became his chief of staff. I've done that. Look at all of that stuff, and ultimately you need somebody, as Taz said, you need somebody who's going to beat Les Phillips, you need somebody who's going to beat Mo Brooks, or you need somebody who's going to beat the good Parker Griffin. I actually had an opportunity to debate Mo Brooks last week. I've called for a debate amongst all the candidates. I think we need to air. We need to have this back and forth. You need to see what your congressman is going to do, because what do we do in Washington? We talk, we work with people, but we debate ideas and policies. So we need to air these on TV. And Linda, thank you for giving me the last word. Finally, I got the last word. But we need to air them on TV. We need to do it with the Democrats and Republicans, and I want to see a series of debates, and I am confident that when we do that, you'll see that I am going to be the one to beat Mo Brooks or beat Les Phillips or beat Parker Griffith, and I am relishing the opportunity to do so for y'all. Thank you.